Hello students, welcome to today's math lesson on dividing fractions. Alright, so we're going to see how we can get through this today, and I want you to pay attention as we go. You can actually pause the video now and make sure that you have a paper and a pencil handy for when we're going to work through the examples together. Alright, so what do we know about fractions? We know that fractions are part of a whole. We also know that fractions are made up of two parts separated by a fraction bar, a numerator, which is the top number, and a denominator, which is the bottom number. We know that fractions can be classified as proper or improper. A proper fraction has a smaller numerator and a larger denominator, meaning the number on the top is small, the number on the bottom is bigger. An improper fraction, that we also call top-heavy, has a larger numerator and a smaller denominator. Now, how are fractions divided? Which is really what we want to get to the bottom of with today's lesson. Fractions are divided by following a few easy steps. Step 1. You will have to make an important change to your problem called finding the reciprocal of a fraction. Say that word for me, reciprocal. Good. Now, you find the reciprocal of the second fraction in the division sentence. To do this, you want to flip the fraction so that the numerator and denominator trade places. In other words, turn them upside down. This always has to be done first. Remember, the numerator should become the denominator, and the denominator will become the numerator. How are fractions divided? We're going to continue now to step 2. Another change will now have to be made. So once you found the reciprocal, we have another step that we need to do. We're going to go ahead and look at the division sign now. The division sign must be replaced with a multiplication sign once you found the reciprocal of the second fraction. At this point, rewrite your division sentence as a multiplication sentence. So you can see here, we have 3/4 that we're dividing by 2/3. When we find the reciprocal of 2/3, the division sentence is rewritten as 3/4 multiplied by 3/2. Don't worry about it becoming an improper fraction. This is what's supposed to happen if you started out with a proper fraction. Okay, so we're continuing now with how are fractions divided. This is step 3. You want to multiply following the rules you already know. Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. But remember, when multiplying fractions, you can simplify before you multiply if possible, and you can do this either vertically or diagonally. Once you have an answer, simplify to the lowest possible term whenever you can. With everything we've discussed so far, I want you to always remember, keep, change, flip. Keep the first fraction the same, change the division sign to a multiplication sign, flip the second fraction in order to write the reciprocal. Now we're going to actually practice this together. Now we're going to look at the first problem, which says 2/3 divided by 1/4. So in other words, you're asking yourself, how many groups of 1/4 can I get from 2/3? Following the steps that were given, let's see if we can go ahead and start working on this first problem. So we know that we have a division sentence and we have to find the reciprocal. Are we going to find the reciprocal of the first fraction? No. We are going to leave the first fraction exactly as it is. So let's go ahead and put our 2/3 exactly as it is. Our division sign. And now with the 1/4, this is where we need to find the reciprocal. So in other words, we're going to flip it. So now the 4, which was the denominator, becomes the numerator, and we're going to put it over 1, which was the numerator, and now it has been changed to the denominator. At this point, there's another change that we have to make. Who can remember what that change is? Yes, we have to change the division sign. So now this problem is going to be rewritten once again as 2/3 multiplied by 4/1. Now, once you find the reciprocal, you do not change it again. You keep it that way in order to multiply and find your answer. So now we can go ahead and follow the rules to multiply numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. I'm going to quickly scan to see if I can simplify first, and I can see that there's nowhere for me to simplify. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply straight across. 2 times 4 gives me 8, and I'm going to write that over the denominator 3 times 1, which is 3. Now we know when we end up with improper fractions, the only way to simplify is by dividing. So I'm going to go ahead in my rough work and I'm going to divide 8 by 3. 3 goes into 8 2 times. 2 times 3 is 6. 8 take away 6 leaves us with 2. At this point, we know that that extra 2 is our remainder. So our final answer will be 2 and 2/3, because this 2 is the whole number, this 2 is the numerator, and our denominator 3 remains the same. And this cannot be simplified any further, so we're done. Okay, the second example says 3/5 divided by 2/3. Again, we know that we do not do anything to the first fraction except put it right back into position. So let's do that. The division symbol is not touched either as yet, and I hope you're practicing on your paper as I go. And for the second fraction, what do we have to do here? That's right, we have to find the reciprocal, and in other words, flip it. So the 3 was at the bottom, it goes to the top. The 2 is at the top, it goes to the bottom. Can I go ahead and solve this problem? No. Now I have another change to make. So I'm going to put my first fraction back into place. Now my division sign has to be changed to a multiplication sign, and I'm going to bring down my inverted fraction, or in other words, the fraction that I found the reciprocal of. Now I can go ahead and I can see if I can simplify. If not, I'm going to multiply following the rule, numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. So I can see that, again, I have nowhere to simplify. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to multiply. 3 times 3 is 9 over 5 times 2, which is 10. And this time we've ended up with a proper fraction for our answer. And also these numbers cannot be simplified. So guess what? We are done. Okay guys, thank you for watching. If you need to, and I would recommend it, go ahead and play this video again from the beginning. Make sure that you understand everything before you attempt to complete this week's math activity.